Welcome to 500 Open Tabs. I'm Hannah Hillam.
And I'm Kaveh Taherian. Welcome back to the show. Hannah, welcome back home. We are back from Chicago now, and boy, are my anxieties tired because I thought we were going to die the entire time we flew back.
Yeah, I'm back. So are you. We went to Chicago.
Hopefully.
We ate some food. We saw other people.
We saw people.
Laughed. We cried. Yeah. Actually, I don't know yet because we haven't technically gone, but I'm assuming it's going to be a really fun trip.
Listen, we've just given away the movie magic that happens on this podcast, and now they're all going to know that we're frauds.
They already know that.
That's true.
We've made it abundantly clear that we're frauds.
That's true.
Last week's episode, half the time we talked about creaming jeans, so I don't think anyone's taking us seriously.
Listen,
but
we are intellectuals, and we're here to have scholarly discussions about historical figures and the jeans that they creamed. No, we're actually, I don't know if we've mentioned this on the show, but we're going to be moving, Sarah and I, just down the street. So the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be slowly going even more insane.
Yeah, we might
and
lose
unfortunately, you might lose me for a little bit. Also, enjoy this background. It's going to change pretty soon. So, I don't like moving.
No, but no
one does.
At least you get to get out of that loud neighborhood.
It's true. I'm excited to leave the neighborhood because I'm kind of over or not this neighborhood, but the specific block that we're on, which is incessantly loud.
There's a curse on it.
There is.
Something.
The curse is going to be lifted. We're going to leave. It's going to be great.
That's exciting.
But anyway, that's the only exciting thing for me. And I believe last week I creamed jeans first. So you get to be the genie the cream genie rubbing on a lamp. 1001 Nights.
It's funny that you bring up 1001 Nights because I'm about to get into something similar. To do with that. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get through this tab without laughing too much. Okay. Too
much.
Wait, here we go. So again, I found this tab in my notebook's ideas page that I luckily decided to write down last November before the Great Delete.
Right.
The article I jumped off from is from Atlas Obscura, and it's by Linda Rodriguez McRobbie from December 2015, and it is called "The True Story of Roland the Farter and How the Internet Killed Professional Flatulence." Okay.
Oh no! The internet killed professional flatulence?
It's clickbait. Don't even worry.
I was gonna say this feels like the internet would have uplifted professional flatulence.
Well, you'll see why a lot of professional flatulists are annoyed with YouTube.
Flatulists.
Fartists.
Fake fartists. Fake fart.
So
AI farts.
.com.
There's that Ghibli fart filter that goes on.
It is an affront to humanity to have AI perform our farts for us.
Can you imagine Miyazaki hearing the AI farts?
I think he'd just walk into the ocean.
He would be like, this is an insult to life itself.
This is, why would I ever do this? Oh, good start.
Pretty soon we're going to be at a point where people are going to get AI to fart for them, and they'll be like, look, I optimized my whatever flatulence of bowel movement, blah, 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 and now I'm got 17 more side hustles of pants shitting going on.
I cut out the middleman of farting and went straight to
farting. Some VC is going to be like, great, we're going to give you Series 17 funding or whatever the shit those idiots do. I hate everyone.
Can you tell that we're really, really wrecked by the late stage capitalism that is affecting our entire business? It's fine. It's fine.
Nothing matters. It's cool. So innovators, you guys.
When the world ends, I will be
shit-ovators.
I will be the performance fartist for the colony that we all create after the world ends. Okay.
Fartist. Anyway, I'm sorry I cut you off before you got to. I cut you off mid fart.
To keep. I didn't even finish my fart. Okay, so. Before I get into Roland the Farter and his special skill, I want to talk a little bit about how farting, it's not
how
funny,
farting works,
has been a part of human joke telling since the very beginning. So, the first recorded joke is about a fart, ever. The first ever recorded joke is about some lady farting on her husband, and
this guy was a pioneer. Still happens to this day.
And every culture across the globe has some history with laughing at farting, right? So Japan in the Edo period, they just, they did a lot. They drew a lot of stuff. But one of the things they liked to draw was battles, like fart battles. in their illuminated manuscripts of just like people just farting at each other. And in 500 AD,
it's like Terrence and Phillip and the South Park movie.
100%. Edo period Terrence and Phillip. There's some tentacles in there. Anyway, back in 500 AD, St. Augustine, I don't know anything about this guy. St. Augustine wrote about a dude he had witnessed who could fart without stink, without making it smell.
Really?
And he could make it sound like a song. Like coming out.
St. Augustine might have had like the early version of COVID where he just couldn't smell anything, whatever that was. And that's probably what happened.
That's what it is. It's been around since 500 AD, COVID, and it started as farting. So the High King of Ireland had multiple fartists on his payroll or flatulists.
How do I get that job?
It's not hard. Actually, it is hard. You have to have the weird ability to... I'll let you know. We'll get there.
Okay.
So many were being given like the best cuts of meat at the feast because they could make the king laugh. The Canterbury Tales. The Canterbury Tales has a whole story about farting, as does 1001 Nights.
Oh.
It is the tale of Abu Hassan and the fart. And it's about this guy, Abu, who doesn't want to get married because he thinks it's pretty much slavery and, old ball and chain. And all his friends are like, just get married. She's so hot. And he gets married. And his wife turns out to be just smoke show. And after the wedding, she's like, let's go to the bedroom. And he's like, okay, but I'm just going to keep dicking around with my friends for a little bit. And he got drunker and drunker and drunker. Farted so loud it echoed through the entire room. He got up and just got on his horse and left forever. So he ditched his wedding.
Because he was embarrassed by his fart?
Because it was outrageously loud. So he was just like, I have to get out of here. Get me out of Baghdad. And so he went... He rode to Basra, and then he got on a ship to India. For 10 years, he was in India, and he had a whole new life. And he's like, I gotta go back and just make sure maybe they've all forgotten by now. And he goes back,
and it's old fart ass coming back.
No, this is seriously what happens. He overhears a mother putting her child to bed, and the child's like, "What year was I born?" And the mom's like, "Oh, I'll never forget what year you were born because that was the year that Abu Hassan farted." And it said, hope died in his heart forever. And he turned around and left and no one ever saw him again.
Why didn't Disney adapt this story? This is so much better.
So much better than Aladdin?
Yeah.
Imagine. There's
no at least
ending.
Incorporated parts of the story. He just leaves because he just fart shame. Oh, man.
So, I did want to include one thing because Roland the Farter is a jester. Okay? He was the court jester to Henry II of England in the 1100s. And this guy has been remembered from one thing only. And it's this. It is Roland the Farter. And I wanted to mention another jester. Okay. A Persian jester named Talhawk, whose main joke was just calling the Sultan a cuck. And
this guy sounds awesome.
Dude, the Sultan loved it. Loved getting called a cuck by some guy.
Did he fart too? Or that's all he did was call him a cuck?
I couldn't find any examples of Persian jesters farting. Just calling the king a cuck.
So I'm gonna bring it back to you to give you a little Farsi lesson. So this is something that applies to us, which there's a phrase in Farsi called khudguzi and khudkhandi, which means literally laughing at your own farts.
I've heard you say that before.
Yeah. That's the entire premise of this. Farting's got a long history in our culture.
Every culture, man. Laughing because you sent me that picture from Comic-Con because you saw a sign that said the word for fart in Farsi. It was
goose, right? It was like goozy stickers or something.
Yeah, shout out. But goozy means fart, right?
Goose means fart.
Goose. Ugh.
Yeah. But then there's goose, which is like fart, and then there's chus, which is like a tiny little fart. It's a little bit more conspicuous.
Why is that so cute sounding?
It's chus. And then the word for popcorn is chusafil, which sounds like a little tiny fart from an elephant. I'm sorry, not popcorn, peanuts. No, popcorn. I was like, I'm thinking of Peanuts of the Circus. No, popcorn is chusafil.
Sorry, so stupid. I love that. The word for microwave in Welsh is pop-ti-ping.
Pop-ti-ping.
Pop-ti-ping, which you put popcorn in the pop-ti-ping. Anyway, that's what that reminded
I
me.
kind of like it. It's more of it's alliteration. It's like it's more of a descriptor of what it is rather than like because microwave doesn't tell me what this thing actually is if I don't know what a microwave is.
No. And then in Spanish, popcorn is poporopo.
Poporopo.
Popo means poo. So it kind of works.
Poo rope poo? Poo made of rope? What is ropo in Spanish? Ropo is shooting? Oh, I don't know. You speak some Spanish?
I speak a decent amount. Hang on. I'm looking it up.
Ropo.
Clothes. Oh, ropa. Poporopa. I don't have time to do this right now, so I'm not going to. So, those are some farters throughout history. We're coming back to Roland. So, Roland lived in the 1100s in England, and he was known for his incredible ability to fart on command.
Okay.
And so much so that the king was like, never leave my side. I need you to fart constantly. Like, I need you here. I need you performing. And so he was, he was a performance farter, you could call him. And by all accounts, otherwise he was like, did all the regular, jester stuff like juggling and whatever jesters do, like performing and stuff, except for one special talent. Every single Christmas, this was his specialty, his show. Everyone was waiting. They loved Christmas time because Roland the Farter did his special trick, and that was a dance. And the dance would end in him doing one jump, one whistle, and one fart simultaneously. And everyone loved it. They were like, do it again.
A fart, a whistle, and a jump at the same time?
He could do it all at the same time. And the king was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to go kill a bunch of French people, then I'm going to come back and watch him do it again. So
seems like a good time.
Yeah. He loved it so much that he gave Roland a manor house. And
what's a manor house?
It's like a mansion in the Middle Ages.
Oh, nice.
And 30 acres of land, which is like more than a lot of like upper class people.
Damn.
But the next king was like, this guy isn't funny, Dad. He's out of here. And so he revoked his manor. But
it's your dad's friend. Yeah, he's just like, I got to take care of this dickhead now.
Dad, your friend won't stop farting on Christmas. I'm done. So Roland's all fine, whatever. But the one I'm obsessed with is this next guy. I'm going to talk about two other flatulists. The next guy I'm going to talk about is called Le Petoman. He's a French guy, right?
Okay.
And his name is Joseph Pujol, but since I speak Spanish, I read his name as Joseph Pujol, which made me laugh so hard because it sounds like Pujol. So, Joe Pujol.
Oh, Joey Hole Poo. I pooed the whole poo out of my poo hole. That's why they call me Joe.
And my best friend is Levi Cream Jeans. Okay.
Levi Cream Jeans and Joe Poo Hole. At the pool hall, shooting pool and poo. And cream.
And cream.
This is not our strongest work.
It's not.
We're trying.
We're doing
like it's like a sequel where we're trying to like repeat the same joke from the first movie, and it doesn't work. We just need to completely scrap Cream and Jeans.
We're done with that.
It's in the past. Goodbye forever.
Bye.
We tried.
Salute.
It didn't work.
Viking funeral. Bye.
No more Cream and Jeans, only poo and holes.
I'm throwing all of these Cream and Jeans into the harbor. Into the
like
the
great
bay. Like the tea party.
The Boston Tea Party. Yeah. Boston cream pie.
I'm throwing all these Boston cream pies in the harbor. And
poo holes.
I am emancipating myself from the nation. That doesn't matter. I'm trying. It doesn't work.
Poo hole. So poo holes.
Le Petoman translates to fartomaniac in French.
Fartomaniac? Oh man, I love that Lars von Trier movie.
Okay. Ooh. He discovered his talent when he was swimming when he was little, but this one's different.
Discovered his talent when he was swimming? That's just called being a kid in the pool and seeing a bunch of bubbles come up.
I don't think this is what kids experience. He was in the river. This was in 1880 or something. Okay. And he could feel water go up his anus. And he was like, is that normal?
Like a reverse fart.
Yes. And he realized he could breathe, quote unquote, breathe in.
Through his anus? He's like
sphincter.
A fish.
Yes.
Oh.
And I read about that, and it does come. It is a leftover thing from like way, 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 way back. That every once in a while, a human will be able to like suck in air through their butt.
That makes sense. Because that's kind of how you're able to burp on cue is like you'll just breathe in air and then burp it out.
Exactly. I wouldn't know, but yeah, that's what I hear.
Right. So he's sucking up air from his anus as a kid.
he's like, whoa, water could go up there. And then he figured out that he got out and he tried to push the water back out and he could shoot it like for a while. He could shoot it at an incredible distance. And he was like, this is life-changing. And so he, of course,
this guy's
as you
like
understand,
gleeking with his butthole.
Yes. Gleekhole.
Gleekhole?
Gleekhole. But his friends were like, that's amazing. And as you and I both know, positive reinforcement for jokes is the only thing you really need.
Mm-hmm.
If you can make some people laugh, don't stop.
Even if you don't make people laugh, don't
Just
stop.
don't stop. A bunch of you probably last week were like, I can't listen to the rest of this episode.
Unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. Whatever. Join the Patreon for more. It was insane. There's way more than you think. Okay, so like, you think we talked about the genes a lot? You don't have no idea. So
you don't even know.
The laughter continued because he had practiced a bunch and he was like, I can like control which sound comes out and how long.
Put in this 10,000 hours.
He really. He was in the army.
10,000 butt chugs? I don't know.
I guess it's kind of butt chugging. So he started realizing it wasn't just water he could suck into his butt. It was
all
also
kinds of
air.
things. Yeah.
And he was like, I can make songs. I can like do like rudimentary songs. So he was like in the army and he was like, check this out, guys. And his whole like squadron or whatever was like, what? This guy's awesome. Look what he could do. And, there was no TV or, whatever.
That's
People
true.
liked. So this
Frankly,
was
now even if you had a guy who could butt chug and make
freak out.
He could fart the White Lotus theme song or something. That'd be way more interesting than watching.
Be like, keep doing that. He learned he could control when he breathed it and he could make sounds, and like music.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I could totally make money doing this. It's 1880 or it's 1890. Literally anything goes. I'm a European man. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And he even booked a sold out show. Well, he performed a ton in Paris. And then he finally got a sold out show at the Moulin Rouge for an hour and a half. He did it for 90 minutes. He farted.
I believe
on command.
I could see that. I've been to the Moulin Rouge. That tracks.
Really?
Yeah, it tracks.
Man, I want to go there in 1890 and see this.
Yeah.
So here's how his trick went. So he'd get up there in his tux. He would dress to the nines, right? And he would get up there and like bow like he was about to conduct a symphony. And he would announce each fart, deadpan, as if presenting a musical piece. And then he would.
He's like the Andy Kaufman of his day, basically.
Yes. And then he would smoke a cigarette out of it.
Afterwards? Oh, smoke a cigarette out of his anus.
Out of his anus. He would smoke. This is so stupid. He would smoke a cigarette out of his anus, and everyone would be like, "Whoa,
wow!"
Because the French were like, "Dude, we will watch anything." At this point,
I'm trying. So it's like you put the cigarette in, you take the drag, but then you have to take the cigarette out, and then you exhale it out.
I think, out of your butt. He could pull it. Yeah, he could smoke with his butt.
I would have been more impressed if he can exhale it out of his mouth, but
right?
It's okay. He's the first guy to do it.
Well, there was this.
He's the pioneer.
There's an account of somebody way back when in Japan who could like eat he could swallow air and then like push it all the way down and out in some crazy fashion. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. So he then he would blow out candles and he would even blow out the gas lights that were at the bottom of the theater at the stage.
Did he blow up any balloons?
Oh, no.
Lame.
Maybe
guy's
this
useless.
Next guy. I know. I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah, he could have at least entertained children at a party and not just people in the Moulin Rouge.
I'm sure there were children there.
Balloon animals. Who wants a giraffe?
Yeah. He could mimic thunder to a highly accurate degree.
Oh, yeah.
He then, as like a side hustle, he would perform private nude farting shows for the upper class. So I don't think those were shows. I think they were
orgies.
I don't know. He was studied by doctors. Because they were like, this dude in France can just fart on command. He can smoke. They were all amazed. And it started this whole like study into how people can actually rectally breathe. And people still study this because there are people who still rectally breathe. And we're going to get to another one. But the report was called An Extraordinary Case of Rectal Breathing and of a Musical Anus. And so that was like the first paper published on it. And if you're like
That was the best Harry Potter book out of the entire series.
Harry Potter and the Extraordinary Case of Rectal Breathing and of a Musical Anus. That was her best work. Voldemort? Man, how did he do that? I didn't even know he had an anus.
He does.
Who would? No. Okay, so if you
who in the Harry Potter universe would have the farting abilities?
Ron and his brothers or whatever, Fred and George. Okay, if you're like me, and I know a lot of you are, you're probably wondering or wishing you could have been there to watch this guy smoke a cigarette out of his butt, right? Don't worry, because we have our very own modern day.
The internet exists. Yeah.
This is pre-internet, and this dude is Mr. Methane, and I'm going to send you.
Don't like it. Don't want it. Nope.
It's his superhero.
I like the fart moniker, but I don't like the methane moniker. That's not fun. That's gross. That's too much.
Interesting. That's where you draw the line. So he is.
Well, just because I have I got big nostrils. I got a strong sense of smell.
Oh,
the methane is like, I don't want that. The
I'm
farting I'm okay with, but not the smell of the farts.
Oh, his don't smell.
His name is Mr. Methane.
I know,
How do they
but
not
he doesn't
smell.
No, they don't. He has the thing where he can butt breathe.
So, okay. So then why would he be Mr. Methane if he's not actually emitting methane?
It's a fun, catchy name.
No, it's misleading.
Okay, I sent you a picture of him on Britain's Got Talent. Or
he just looks like what does he look like? He's wearing. He looks like I don't even know what this.
Simon Cowell called him.
Hold on, I gotta try and describe this picture. Also, this reminds me of a specific story I have to tell you.
Okay.
A childhood story.
I'm so
but
excited.
for the listeners at home, the picture that she sent me, it's a guy wearing a green mask, and he's wearing like the green suit, but like his head's not covered, and he's wearing purple shorts, and then he has a microphone just directly up to his anus. And then there's fireworks in the background. And then what looks on a stage, and it looks like a bottle of something next to him that I can't understand.
It's a bottle of water.
I will tell you this. This is the most like middle school story of all time.
I know.
Did I ever tell you this story?
No. Tell me.
No, I didn't. Okay.
I thought you meant this was, and I was going to say this is also.
No. This is, I can directly speak to this experience, which was like, I don't know, 1996, 97. One of my cousins, who shall not be named to protect his anonymity, but I know you already know who it is.
Yep.
I had a boombox and I had a microphone, and I was like, we were 12 or 13, and we had this is back when you had a tape deck, and then you could hit record on the tape deck and then talk into the microphone. I don't know why we had this idea, but we had this idea where we should record. This was like one summer where we were in Sacramento, and I was like, okay, let's record the sound of our farts into this tape so we can play it back. So we had this like mixtape where like every time that summer that we had to fart, we just run into the room and record it and then just fart, hit record, fart, and then stop the tape. So there's this like, I think it was like animation. It's like you do all this work and there's only like 10 seconds at the end of it, but it was like the funniest 10 seconds of just our farts.
That is the most. Here's the thing. Here's why you did that. Because this is the oldest form of humor on Earth. Okay.
To
There's
this
something
day,
in everybody that wants
with the
to
microphone.
somehow.
I wish I could find that tape. Oh my god.
Oh, it's floating around somewhere. It's floating around. So I found a videotape. We got the VCR out at my parents when I was there last. We were watching home movies, but there's one of us driving around my hometown like 2 days before 9/11. And
no!
It was bizarre. It was like, whoa, a little snapshot. Anyway, brought 9/11 into this. But no, I if you find
nice
that
companion piece to my fart tape with my cousin.
Look, your fart tape.
Speaking of fart tapes, I have a video of driving around before 9/11.
Look, that fart tape was Sacramento's 9/11. Okay,
it's true.
Yeah, that's amazing. If you ever find it, we need to play it. I need to hear it.
We get banned from YouTube probably if we ever do find it.
Have you ever been on YouTube?
Are there? I've admittedly not looked up a lot of farting videos on YouTube.
That's half of it. My brother. Stu, if you're listening, you've scarred me for life. It was just everything farts constantly. YouTube. Anyway, Mr. Methane. By the way, I love that story, and I'm sorry I made it about 9/11.
Our listeners expect more, Hannah.
Our listeners are getting the bottom of the barrel for me today. So you know what? They're getting like the shavings of whatever I have left.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
It's like, here's what I got.
You're not getting the fart. You're not getting the goose Hannah today. You're getting the Chus Hannah, like the little fart version.
Yep, the cute. Let's call it cute. Whatever I'm doing today is cute.
Fart cute, not meat cute, but fart cute.
Stupid. Okay. So Mr. Methane grew up performing this for his friends because he was young when he realized he could breathe through his butt as well. And he was like, this is hilarious. So he would perform for his friends. And he grew up to be a train engineer. But after an incident where the brakes on the engine failed, he was like, I'm done with trains. And I'm going to try my anus at performance farts. So as he started performing, he would don a green and purple superhero costume and take on the alias of Mr. Methane to like mask himself. Because he's 6'7".
Okay.
So he's just this gigantic Northern Englishman who can fart on command and wears a superhero costume. And
he's like Buckethead, but for farting, basically.
Wait, who's Buckethead?
Buckethead guitarist who always wears the KFC bucket and like a mask and long hair. He's like 6'7". He's huge. I don't know if it's exactly how tall, but he's very tall.
When people are that tall, they have to have a bit, or else
I guess
they're just.
I feel like
tall.
being tall is the bit.
Yeah, but it gets old when they're like, "We play basketball." That's what everyone sounds like. Oh, you play basketball?
How's the weather up there?
Whereas me, I can't even at concerts. I just look at people's backs, and I'm like, "Cool, I love music." In a hot room, looking at people's backs. My friend was 6'7", and we'd go to concerts, and we'd be like, "Okay, see you, Tucker. See you." He stays at the back. We're like, "We're not going back there with you. You're on your own. We're not going to be in there."
Oh no!
Anyway,
why were you friends with Tucker Carlson? That's the real question.
I know. He grew. He shrunk. Fox made I don't know. Every joke I have is half a joke.
Half a joke?
No, my friend Tucker was so tall, and he had red hair, so he had double the.
He stuck out.
Target.
Stood out in a crowd.
Target. Yeah. Hi, Tucker. I don't know. We haven't talked in years. So he was like, "Here's some tips from Mr. Methane on how to do this. You have to be born with it, first of all." Maybe he's born with it.
Here's some tips. Maybelline? Be born with it. Yeah, maybe it's Mabel fart.
If you have this ability, we're trying, okay? You have to relax your sphincter while also tightening it. And he says that he can't really explain it. It just happens. He can just do it.
Okay.
And he says it's really hard to explain, but you cannot laugh. If you do it, you can't laugh because it'll just fail. So he has to be straight-faced this entire time. And he exercises because he needs to keep like his muscles like toned. Are you trying? Should we try? Okay, wait.
No, we're just going to add a bunch of sound effects in the background.
Nope, I'm just doing kegels with my butt. Man, I hate this. I wish I could do this.
Some guru this guy is. He's like, how to breathe with your butt. Butt yoga.
Did you have any success just now?
No, I didn't. I think I'm just going to be shitting my pants while I'm sitting here if I don't do it correctly.
He says he likes to say farting fit in order to like have muscles that work. This guy's annoying. This guy is, he's like a British dad humor. So it's like, oh my God. Oh.
This guy fully, I think, is part of those people who like sun their perineums or whatever, you know?
100%.
Like, I feel like this guy is absolutely like, all he needs to do is get those people under his wing and then he can get rich.
Like that guy that has like waist length hair on Instagram and does shows naked and like, have you seen that guy?
I don't know who you're talking about. No.
My algorithm is horrible and cursed. And I don't see anything I like, but that's one of them. He was on TV. He was on whatever Britain's Got Talent, and his little
Britain's Got Anus.
Simon Cowell. So he performed a fart song on that show, and he put the art into fart. And then two of the judges were like, "That's so funny." And Simon Cowell, Simon, I'm gonna send you the picture of Simon's face. Okay.
I think I already know what it's gonna be, but let's hear it. Let's see it.
It's the same picture of his butt, but there's Simon's face now.
It's funny because his face looks like he's playing trumpet.
Yeah, he's just he's just breathing. He's just letting out a big like oh.
But it also looks like he's controlling it, like he's playing the like he looks like he's mid fart noise with his mouth.
He's doing it, and he called Mr. Methane a disgusting creature and told him he would not be moving on. So
I like how Simon Cowell's probably like, I can't believe I'm getting paid millions of dollars to sit here and watch this.
Simon, get over it.
Yeah,
get
eat
over
shit,
it,
bro. That's why you have the terrible, insane, scary plastic surgery that you do now.
Oh, dude,
because you took it for granted.
Scary. I've never. Ooh. And he was booed by the audience, not the whole audience. Either people were laughing till they cried, or people were like,
Simon Cowell was booed, or Mr. Methane was.
Mr. Methane. So
I was hoping that the audience turned on Simon Cowell and started booing him for not supporting the fartist.
No,
the disaster fartist.
And I feel like people are that's pretty much like a good representation of the population of like people either think it's really funny or they're like, I want to die. I hate this. Anyway, so Mr. Methane's like, I wish I've been born into the wrong era because the internet has turned my talent into nothing more than another crazy thing to consume on YouTube. And he hates YouTube. He's like, no one's hiring me for gigs anymore. It's like, why would they? Anyway, like, I get it. I also get it, but like, we're not in the fart gig economy anymore, bro.
Anymore. That was back in the 90s. That was before 9/11, all right? When you could make money off of farting.
When you could drive around. No.
When we had hope.
When we had hope. No, when we just didn't know what was happening in the world. But yeah.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, Paul, Mr. Methane, we'd love to have you on the show.
Would we?
I don't know.
And he's just going to fart for his he's going to be like our third co-host. He's just going to be farting for a good 25 minutes.
I don't want him on the show. Sorry, Paul.
I got to say, I don't know. Here's the thing. Farting is like, it's very personal. It's like a personal thing to make the other, like your friend laugh. Yeah. I never really liked big farts in movies as much. I'm not saying that I don't like any of them, but I'm trying to think of like a slapstick example of farting that's like, oh man, it's my favorite fart example.
It doesn't hit in like a laugh kind of way. Like if it's like, if I watched this in public, I'd be like, I'm kind of embarrassed for you, but also like, it's like something siblings do to each other. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to think of an example. I'm trying to break down why. I'm like, the only really good fart I can think of in recent memory is the Step Brothers gag, which you haven't seen.
No.
But they're going on all these job interviews, and then the last one, they're both wearing tuxedos. And then like it goes really well. It's like they've had all these terrible job interviews, and then like Seth Rogen is the guy who's hiring them. And then like they do there, he's like, that's it. He's like, I love it. I love that you guys are wearing tuxedos. He's like, let's hire you. Let's do this. And then John C. Reilly lets out this really long fart.
Okay, that's kind of fun.
And then Seth Rogen's like, do I taste ketchup? He's like, no. It's like gross. And then they don't get the job. That's the
disgusting. Well, that's my tab.
You know what? I take it back. Maybe fart jokes are still funny. I just don't think that farting for half an hour sounds as funny to me.
No, going to a show and watching someone smoke a cigarette and then blow out some candles and then, I don't know, wear a superhero costume. I don't know. I think I could do it for like 15 minutes.
You know what? I'm gonna. You know what? I'm doing something that I shouldn't do because I'm making an assumption. I'm gonna reserve my judgment until I watch an actual half an hour fart show.
Are you gonna watch one?
Because Maybe we will. Listen, I did a show for 4 years where I hated musicals, but I was like, I'll just watch this musical and maybe some of them will affect me. I'm going to go into it with this is my thing. I'm like, I'll go into it with an open mind, and if I don't like it, I'll reserve judgment until I see it. I shouldn't speak too soon. I'm just saying my instinct is to think that it's probably too much, but maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't know. I'm probably not going to because I'm probably going to forget about all of this in about a day.
That's true. That's absolutely what's going to happen for both of us.
Yeah,
but
anyway,
you sound like you were about to fart right there with that one.
Nope. If I do that, I'll pee. That's my problem.
Oh, fart.
Hashtag
pee.
mom probs. Ugh.
Mom probs.
I'm weary, dude.
Hashtag fart pee. It's because you haven't farted enough.
We're not our best right now, guys. We're good. Look, that's the tab on performance fartists.
Performance fartists is excellent.
They've been integral to every culture and kings. And if I were alive in the 1100s, that might have been my job because it's that or have a kid and die. You know.
Listen, the other lesson here is if you fart really, really, really loud at your own wedding and it echoes off the walls, just lean into it.
Get out.
No. I would say just lean into it. Make it your shtick. Then you can be the fart guy or lady.
His fault. He ruined his own life.
Well, no, I'm saying that these days you got to lean into it. He could have had like a whole. He could have made money off of it because no one's making money otherwise. So if you're going to have to do going on Ellen and farting for her, or
Yeah.
going on the Drew
we're not
Barrymore
in a-
show. She comes on the couch and she's holding your hand very
Holding me.
closely and then just farting the whole time,
And she's like, oh.
giving you this like. She has this like incredible gaze when she does those
Yeah.
interviews where it's like it's really intense. I feel like
No,
I'm gonna
she
start crying
is-
just watching her. Like it's like
She's
a
one of
weird,
those people.
empathetic like face.
Uh-huh. Like if
You
she
feel like,
talked to me in
oh.
person and was like, are you okay? I'd be like, no, I'm
I would
not.
start crying. Right?
I'm
Yeah.
crying. Drew, I'm not okay.
It's just like this intense. Like
Yeah.
I'm so locked into whatever you're feeling right now.
It's cool, but also scary.
It's
Because I
scary,
know
but
people like that where I'm like,
yeah.
oh, you,
Oh no.
okay, you're here to be supportive in a way that other,
I'm not
You know what I
ready
mean?
for that.
I'm not
But I would
ready.
go. You could go fart on her show basically, and she would probably be like, "It's beautiful."
you should be like, I'm glad you're doing this for yourself. I'm glad that you found this passion. And I want everyone in here to take a moment.
Also, it's
Drew-
your wedding day. Everyone else can eat shit. You're allowed to do whatever, and people have to deal with it. That's the point of your wedding day.
Don't keep your wife waiting, though. Don't keep your hot wife
It's
waiting.
true. Don't do that, and don't
Go-
leave her.
Don't leave her. She was so hot. Like the story kept being like, and she was gorgeous.
Smoke show. She
And,
was hot.
I wonder what the moral of that story is.
It's just don't fart. This is the moral of the story. Is if you fart in
Anyway.
public, we will shame you.
That's my tab on farting. And
Nice.
what do you have?
Well, I know how
for
we're going to
me?
close tabs today.
I didn't even think about
Get
that.
ready. It's going to be like 17 whoopee cushions like going simultaneously, Alyssa. Okay, thank you for that very
Farcial
flatulent tab. Farcial arts. Ooh, farcial arts. Kuma fart. I don't know. Kuma tab.
Nope.
Fart. Something or other. Anyway.
Oh, no.
Okay, so on to my tab.
Take us somewhere.
Okay. Today's mine is not goofy like this, unfortunately.
Great.
I've got one that's like a little bit more not serious, but more less
Not
insane.
deeply stupid.
Not deeply stupid. No, it's in fact it's kind of inspiring, which is why I liked it and I chose it.
I'm glad we're going to end on that, because if we had ended
Yeah.
on me being like, that's my tab about farts, I think it would have not been great. So
No, and then I think, and I'll get to the end of it, and I'll explain. I think why I thought it was it stuck out to me as like an interesting story. So today's tab caught my attention because it's got like an MCU type crossover of tab topics from this show. It's like part of the 500 Open Tabs podcastic universe, if that's a thing.
yeah. No, it is actually. We have an insane amount of inside jokes.
We do. I just don't know what it's called. I don't know if the 500
500 open universes. I don't
TPU
know.
or whatever. We certainly have our own little thing, though. That
We do.
stuff.
Little
It's like Billy
microcosm.
Bob, and it's all the Akuma tab sort of threads them all together. But my tab begins with our old friend Tippi Hedren.
Tippy.
Tippy.
Oh, she got mauled by a lion.
She
No, wait.
did, and
Yeah.
I made sure to go back and look. So if you haven't done so yet, go back and listen to Hannah's tab from episode 12 about the movie Roar.
That was a good
Can you
one.
believe how long ago that was?
No, we do need to watch that as a live
We
stream
do.
sometime.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. Tippy's a part of that story. It's all about lions and tigers eating crew members and making the most insane movie, dangerous movie ever made and whatnot. It's a good one. But so that's when I was reading about this, I was like, wait, Tippi Hedren. I was like, wait, I know that.
I
name.
know
And I was
this
like,
person.
it's the lady from Roar.
It's Tippy.
But this story is not about Tippi getting bit in the face or getting attacked by lions.
good.
It's
That's
about
good.
her humanitarian work and how it inadvertently ended up leading to the creation of a multi-billion-dollar industry. So let's go back to 1975.
Okay, let's get the timeline that Alyssa made and let's see what's been happening there.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no, I don't have it open. Never mind.
I can tell you off the top of my head, there's the Tehran UFO incident. I think was either 75 or 76.
And the
There's a bunch of
exploding
Nixon
whale.
stuff, exploding whale.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff that are happening in the 70s that we've covered.
Yeah, cool.
But anyway, so when Tippi wasn't trying to fend off gigantic African mammals, she worked as an international relief coordinator for a nonprofit organization called Food for the Hungry.
Okay.
Did you read into anything about her specifically when you were doing the tab, or it was just in relation specifically to the movie
I
Roar?
kind of got into, because I know that after she was in The Birds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after
Hitchcock,
that
yeah.
harrowing experience,
Yeah.
she kind of drifted away, backed off from acting a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then got into like charity work and stuff.
Yeah, humanitarian.
That's about as much as
That's
I
about
know.
what you
Because
know. Okay, good,
She opened
good.
that like sanctuary for the lions that she
Right,
adopted.
right.
So I know she has like a philanthropist heart. I would say that's about all I
Yeah.
know.
So she's working for the nonprofit called Food for the Hungry. And after the fall of Saigon, she begins working with Vietnamese women in this in the first non-military refugee camp in Waymar, California, called Hope Village. So this is like up north between. It's like if you're going from Sacramento on the way to like Reno, sort of that's where this town is.
Oh yeah, on I-80.
Yeah,
I drive that constantly. I'm always over
really?
there. Yeah.
Going up towards that direction, or just on the 80?
I take I-80 through up there to Utah.
Have you been to Waymar, California before?
Probably driven through it. I don't know. I stopped all over. I don't know. I have no idea.
You don't know. Okay. I think I have a picture of. So this is like the outside of Hope Village. So I don't know if you've heard. I don't know if you have any Vietnamese friends, but over the years I've heard a fair amount of horror stories.
Oh yeah.
Of what that journey was like for people, for so many of the Vietnamese.
My best friend growing up is Vietnamese, and her mom had to was one of the ones who had to silently, so quiet, get on one of those boats and just in the pitch dark and try to get out. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of horror stories, harrowing stories, and a lot of people that I know, those parents are just they won't even talk about it.
No, yeah, no. My friend's mom mentioned it maybe once.
Yeah. It's a whole it's horrific, and it's a big trauma, and it's so just for context, again, I don't know how much people who are listening may or may not know about it. Maybe they don't have, the advantage of having Vietnamese people that are, their friends or people that they grew up with that would have shared these stories with them. But they're very horrific. And on top of that, traumatizing. And then on top of that, you're coming to a new country, and it's like America of all places.
That was killing your country, people who looked like you, and they're like, actually, you can come live here now. And it's like, what?
Yeah. So it's it can't be overstated. Yeah.
Experience.
So it's awful. And this is part of the first wave, I think, that fled. And so a lot of them were military wives and stuff.
Right.
Because those were the people that had been working with the military that were granted, not clemency, what's the word? They were granted asylum to come to the States in the first time. It's awful. But here's a phrase that you're probably never going to hear me say again.
Okay. Fortunately
for them, a wealthy white woman stepped in to do something about it.
There's one of us? Oh my goodness. Oh, wait, no, one of us. I'm not wealthy. Wow. Wait, am I about to hear about an unproblematic wealthy white woman?
At least in the context of this story, not just white women, but other women as well of color. This story gets fun. This is you're going to love this one.
Cool.
So Tippy was doing whatever she could to help the Vietnamese women in particular find ways to find work and help them make money. Because again, remember, they're in this new country. They have nothing. They're living in this, they call it Camp Hope. I'm sorry, they call it Hope Village, but still it's not great. Yeah. And so here's a quote from her. She says, "We were trying to find vocations for them. I brought in seamstresses and typists, any way for them to learn something. But Tippy, being a Hollywood starlet, couldn't help but always be dressed to the nines.
Uh-huh.
And in particular, her nails were always just impeccable."
Oh, I think I know where this is going. I'm so excited. Okay.
And understandably, all these women were like, holy shit, this broad has got the fanciest nails I have ever seen in my life. Because this is a straight up Hollywood movie star who has her nails done to
every time
the fanciest that you've ever seen. Yeah. This isn't just these women from Vietnam. Think about most people in the States probably haven't seen somebody who's that impeccable.
No.
Because that's how fancy LA and Hollywood
put
is.
Together. Tippy was like a golden age looking.
Yeah. Very well coiffed. I mean, she's literally in Hitchcock movies, very, very well put together. And so she's up here being like, hey, how about you guys talk to these typists or these seamstresses? And they're just like, what is with these? They're amazing. I love this because it's such a human moment where you just kind of get enraptured by this thing that's about craftsmanship and about kind of taking care of yourself and
art,
kind of this this little artistic beautiful thing that you can do, and they kind of bond over it. And
also nail salons. Have you ever been to a nail salon?
I have.
They're some of the funnest places to be because everyone's just chilling. It's it's almost like a haircut. What are the in New York, in Harlem, all the barbershops that are open at night.
Yeah. It's
and
extremely social.
Everybody comes out. It's social. It's
yeah.
You go with your friends, you talk to everybody there. It's
communal. Yeah, it's totally a thing.
Female, very female. uplifting a little bit. Like what I've noticed
Yeah.
about the Vietnamese community here in San Jose is that
Yeah.
they're very matriarchal, and
Okay.
women are the ones who run the businesses, the restaurants, the groups. And it's like this really cool, and it's funny because back in the day, like 1,000 years ago, they were a
Yeah.
matriarchal society. Women were the leaders, and
Yeah.
the children took the women's names. So they come from a long history of matriarchy, and it's kind of cool to see how it's translated into being an American culture because it's very much female centric in a community based way. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And then but I think what's so interesting too about it is like, I wouldn't have thought of this, right? And I think a lot of kind of like dude bros would just be like, what? But for us, I think like the equivalent would be like when you see a guy with like a super well manicured beard,
Really?
it just is like, it just becomes this like weird hypnotic thing where you're like, I can't focus on anything that this person's saying because his beard is so beautifully manicured. And there's like this, it's like almost like a primal level of respect for somebody. It's very strange.
Because that's true. Because I remember as a kid, one of the things I could just stare at forever was somebody's fancy nails.
Yeah.
Just be like, whoa. And feeling like an adult when you finally got to have like nice fancy nails, it felt so like a rite of passage of like, I'm a woman now.
A grown up, yeah, or something about it. Yeah, I get to spend money on something like this. But anyway, so like, everything's terrible and the world's falling apart and everything's awful, but they were able to have this connection. But again, and it's not like they weren't trying. I just mean that like, it's kind of what's fun about life is like, you have no idea what you're going to relate to with who. That's kind of like one of the weird, fun adventures that you end up going on. And so, and much to Tippy's credit, I have to really give her a lot of credit for this. She's like, oh, you like my nails? And I really believe this to my bones, is that like a more like kind of business, kind of quote unquote business oriented person, or a more sort of like conventional business person would have like completely dismissed these women as being like vain and being like focused on like frivolous nails instead of like being like, oh, you should be learning to be a court stenographer or whatever. I mean, nothing against stenographers, but I'm just saying like, they would have taken this moment and used it as a way to judge and criticize. But what she does here, that's
women feel stupid, because that is also
like
a remnant from the Puritan society, is that any gaudiness or extra stuff on you, you're seen as, it's like a sin. And we still very much have that in our culture in some ways.
Yeah. And I think what's so interesting is that she sort of is like, okay, and who knows why, it's her personality. Part of me thinks it's like when you're in the arts, you kind of, this is the kind of shit that you have to pay attention to all the time. Because what you're looking for is like, what is the thing that sparks someone's, like, you can notice it, you know what I mean? Like, this from having seen so many other people like in the arts, are like, okay, when you notice that someone has like not just an interest, it's more than just an interest. You're sort of like, okay, something's turning in someone's head, or some wheels are turning in a way that like, if you're sensitive to it and you're paying attention to it, if you're smart about it, you can catch it. And so
with
Tippy's
my own
like,
children, with my own children, I'll watch it, where I'll be like, oh, this is what she likes. Interesting.
Yeah.
Or my son, I'm like, just draw. I want to teach him how to draw, but he's not that type of artist. He likes to use his hands and destroy and build and then destroy and then build and then destroy. Like, he like rips holes in paper and then colors in the holes. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that where it's like, this is insane. I have to let you do this though, because there's that blossoming like, ooh, Anyway,
if there's a sensitivity to you to notice that. And so Tippy's kind of like,
Tippy,
okay, we have like a point of interest. Like we found something that they like. And she goes back to LA and she goes to her nail salon. So she goes back to her salon, and it's called the Nail Patch, which is over in Encino, which is like just down the street from me.
Cool.
And there she speaks with her trusted manicurist, who is named Dusty Coots Butera. And she gives her the skinny about all these Vietnamese ladies who are in this camp and are huge fans of her work. And this is a quote from Dusty. She says, quote, Tippy told me about these young women and their plight. And I thought, surely if I could learn to do nails, they could too. I was not trained to do anything, and I had a child to raise, and I was a single mother. So when I went to teach, I knew what it was like. That's why it appealed to me.
Oh, I'm already like, this is already so inspiring. Anyway.
Yeah. So from there, Tippy flies up Dusty like once a week for the next few months to teach the interested Vietnamese ladies of Hope Village a few of her nail techniques.
Oh my gosh, Tippy looks so happy right now in that picture. She's like delighted. Everyone's so happy.
They're stoked.
Also, nothing is better healing, other balm than art. Like art is for trauma.
Yeah.
Like using your hands to create something is it rewires something in your brain.
And pretty soon they all got the hang of it. They were all really excited. They all loved it. But apprenticing under someone doesn't mean that you can start doing it professionally, because for that, you need to get licensed. And once again, being a beloved celebrity, Tippy used her clout to get Citrus Heights Beauty College to waive their fee.
Amazing.
So this is the point of the story to me that was like, I'm obsessed with. There's an inaugural class of 20 Vietnamese women that are now the stuff of legend, because effectively the theory goes is like this first graduating class from the Citrus Heights Beauty College of these 20 women effectively create the nail industry in America.
Wow.
It's this first batch of women.
It didn't exist before, the nail industry.
So the way that the nail industry before was it was like nail and hair. I'm going to get into the story of how it ends up branching out. But basically it's specifically Vietnamese. It's specifically this group of women. And it's specifically because Tippi Hedren comes in and she's like basically milking her connections and was like, perceptive enough to understand like that this was something that they needed, they were interested in, and that there was an opening for it. And so she essentially like, all she really did was open doors for them. It's right. I don't want to be like Tippi did everything. It's more like all she did was recognize that like there was this burning drive for this, and it was something that they were interested in, that they wanted to do, and she facilitated it.
She used her privilege correctly.
Yes, exactly. And then these women were the ones who basically were like, oh shit, like our entire country is falling apart and we're living in some insane like barracks, like taking these right. And like they're the ones that should get the credit for this. They're the ones who obviously made this effort. But
and finding yourself in a new place and then just picking up and doing an entirely new profession. Yeah. In a country that you do not speak the language. Like, it's insane. I can't even imagine. They must have poured everything into this.
Yeah. And the other thing that it reminded me of is like, I don't remember exactly the details, but like there's a couple of stories from like the late 70s and like early 80s of like classes where like everybody was in that one class. So there's one, I think it's actually University of Utah is one of them, where it was like Ed Catmull from Pixar was in it, and like Nolan Bushnell was in it, and then a bunch of the guys that like created Photoshop.
Don Bluth was in there.
Was Don at University of Utah?
U, yeah.
Oh,
and the guy who did the Atari or something.
Yeah, Nolan Bushnell. Yeah.
No. Yeah. So
that's Nolan Bushnell. Yeah.
Or it's like that concert, that Joy Division concert that like Morrissey was at and the Clash were at, and like.
Oh, I don't know about that one. That's
not
funny.
The Clash. Maybe it was the Clash. It was some concert where like everyone was there. And then from that one, I think it was Joy Division concert, like it formed like 6 new bands that went on to become like legendary. So it's like these little meeting points where it's like,
yeah. So there's that. And then the other one I thought of was there's one class of like Cal Arts that was like John Lasseter and like Brad Bird and like Tim Burton. It was like all these people who just went on and like completely shape an industry were all there. So I think it's, the reason why I was like, this is an interesting story is because you don't necessarily think about this as like your typical, and then they went on to change the industry, because they're not necessarily like famous names, but like nails are worth like, I don't even know how many billions of dollars now. I'm like, and it's completely dominated by the Vietnamese who came to America specifically. So I think that there's a case to be made of like, this is equally as valid and as important in terms of like, what business stories and case studies are made. Like, and that's kind of why I was like, I feel like this fits that mold of these kinds of stories that people tell. I'm going to send you a picture. So this is the photo of like the kind of inaugural class. And I looked everywhere to try and get like an exact list of all their names, and I was going to slaughter trying to say everyone's names.
Oh yeah.
But thankfully for our listeners, I wasn't able to find that, and I'm not able to destroy everyone's names.
Thankfully for the Vietnamese population,
I'm not here to absolutely embarrass and undo all the goodwill I tried to bring to this tab by reading all their names.
This is such a good picture. Look at their outfits. I'm obsessed with the colors. Oh, and it's so 60s.
It's 70s. Yeah.
That's right. Those patterns, those 70s patterns are so good. I love that photo. Okay.
Anyway, so, despite all the odds and trauma and exhaustion and PTSD and everything working against them, these 20 ladies all graduate and they go off to join the workforce with certificates in hand. And one more time, credit to Tippi, she goes around telling people throughout the Southland that these ladies are like awesome and insanely hard workers and like, dude, just be a good person. And effectively like was able to kind of vouch for them because again, it's not like they have resumes or anything.
Right.
Puts a bunch of them to work. She doesn't put them to work. She helps place a bunch of them in different places. And so they're doing okay. They're not crushing it because
Yeah.
whatever, racism and things
yeah.
aren't great. And then I think by the end of 1975, it was something like 125,000 Vietnamese refugees had settled in the U.S., mostly in California.
Mm-hmm.
And, I hate this term. I find it to sound really derogatory, but the term technically is chain migration, which is how a lot of immigrant communities...
It's been used as a derogatory way of talking about, but technically that's how it works, how immigration works.
Right. Certainly how my family worked and a lot of our extended family. It's like the first person comes, they start to make a life for themselves. They're able to vouch for whoever to, get them to get a visa or green card or whatever to come to the States. And then
that's how you do it.
Families come all together.
That's always how it's been. Are people hang on. That's how it was at the beginning. All of my immigrant ancestors were like, oh, we'll send one, and then that's like the person that's there that can represent. Anyway, I just got really annoyed with people who
as you should. Anyway, so as part of this, a bunch of people come in, and of course they're following the sort of blueprint, which is the template that, again, my family, as a lot of people have. Well, they're like, okay, well, so-and-so came and they were able to start working as a nail technician. And then that person's whatever cousin comes, or that person's sister comes, or husband, or whoever, like family comes one by one. And it's a small community at this point. I mean, 125,000 people is a lot of people, but that's not a big amount of people in terms of an immigrant population at this time. And so everyone's talking, and they're like, okay, well, these ladies are doing nails. This is something that they're able to make money. It doesn't require you to know quite that much English in terms of how to be able to do it. It's true. And so word spreads. And they basically started coming in, and they all started kind of getting their what are they called? Not degree. Their manicuring license and stuff.
Certification or whatever.
Certifications.
Certificate, yeah.
And also, by the way, it's always shocking to me that I feel like I have to explain this because I'm older and I take this for granted. I'm like, this is how a lot of immigrant communities end up specializing in a specific thing. It's not because like in Vietnam, people were like, like doing nails was like a tradition that goes back like 10 generations.
It's like,
it's like, hey, here's
a situation.
Right.
You're like, I have to figure out a way to live. I'm going to go to my community, and that community is going to help me. You know
exactly.
like
and they support each other. And then when they come in, they're like, here's the thing that we did. And so then you end up kind of carving out a niche for yourself. So they basically start coming and they start kind of following suit. And like I said, it wasn't very common to have a nail shop on its own. It was like, you're going to go work at a salon where people do hair, and then you also do nails. And so what a lot of people were doing is that they started to go do the work. They were able to save money. And some of them thought about breaking off and starting nail shops that like focus specifically on nails instead of hair and nails, because that was the area that they were all getting very good at.
It's kind of like aesthetics now, or estheticians now. It's like I have a friend who specializes in just eyelashes, but that's a newer thing. It used to just be all aesthetics all in one, except for nails. And so like people are starting to do that now with like eyebrows or eyelashes or stuff like that. It's all getting very specialized. This is like an early version of that, where it's like we're breaking out and doing our own thing with this. It's cool.
So there's one story from here that I thought was really interesting. So it's about this Vietnamese lady named Charlie Vo. And Charlie was doing nails in South LA, and she met a lady named Olivette Robinson who did hair. And they became friends, and they decided to start a business of their own, which in the early 80s in particular was not some shit you'd ever see, because it was a black woman and a Vietnamese lady opening up a hair and nail place together in South LA, in like South Central LA.
Oh, that is not... Holy cow. That's cool.
And I love this, and you're going to love this. So they get this commercial space or whatever, and they're like, okay, what are we going to call it? What's it going to be? And Olivette is like, okay, we're going to be making all these women pretty and sexy so they could go out and like trap a man. And her and Charlie keep like, chatting about it, and they're like riffing, and they're like, yeah, we're trying to help them trap a man. And then they're like, okay, boom. And they decide to call it Man Trap Salon.
That's so good.
Here's a picture of her in front of it with the
way. I love Olivette. Are you kidding? She's my favorite person. Look at that smile. She's just like, yep, check this out.
So the image is like this. It's like this black woman who looks like she's like a black superhero of some sort.
Yeah, she's like standing like a Marvel superhero in front of a web, and in the web is a dude in a Speedo, and he's caught in the web
because she trapped him in.
Trapped him. Yeah.
And he looks like Prince, kind of from the early '80s. Is what is funny to me.
Yes, he does. And then Robinette is just standing there grinning. Is that Robinette?
Olivet. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was Robinette. What the hell?
No, Olivet. But yeah, she's just like grinning
Robinette
in front of it.
is Joe Biden's middle name.
Really?
Yeah. Olivet is just like
anyway. Joe Biden is not in this photograph.
Good. I don't care about him at all. Olivet for president.
Anyway, obviously, this is amazing and it's incredible. So, unsurprisingly, this venture ends up becoming very successful. And I think within a couple of years, they opened like 9 of them. And they're all in, like within 9 man traps. It was like a chain. And they're all in black communities. And it's all like, you know, Charlie and her whole family is working there. Olivet and her family's working. So it's like, it's very communal, like you said. And at that time, acrylic nails were starting to become extremely popular. Yep. And their shit started to get like super elaborate. And the next thing you know, all these like Latino women and all these white ladies were like, what's going on with all these like rhinestones and like snakeskin shit? I want in on that. That's awesome. And so
I love
this kind of becomes like the trend. It's argued that this is where the trend starts of like nails going kind of mainstream as a form of self-expression rather than just kind of like what Tippy would do, which was the more kind of formal, like kind of what I don't know, classic, whatever you'd want to call it. But now it became this thing where it's like
accessorizing kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. It was less about being prim or proper and more about like, this is who I am and this is how I express myself through these nails. Yeah. And so of course that feeds in and then it makes nails like an even bigger thing.
Yeah.
And of course the Vietnamese immigrants that keep coming in are like perfectly positioned because they're starting to get like, they're starting to corner in on this entire industry that's now suddenly gone mainstream with the help of Black culture sort of, you know, it's taken from Black culture and it's expanding. And now they're sort of positioned in this crazy area where they're like, oh shit, there's this whole wave now that's going to happen.
Dude, again, with Black women, they're at the forefront of so many movements, of styles. It's awesome.
And so towards the end of the decade, there's this guy, he's a social worker, and his name is Minh Nguyen, and he changed the game again from what people were doing before. So Minh had been settling Vietnamese refugees like as his day job. He was a social worker. Okay. And one day his wife, Kien, takes Minh to meet one of her old friends from high school that was doing nails, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I can't 100% confirm this, but I think it's Tuan Le, who was one of the original 20 in Tippy's class. Okay. I think. Yep. I think. And Minh, he's kind of like, oh, damn, this nail shit is like, it's going. Like, it's really good. Like, I guess he was sort of, I don't know, wrapped up in social work and helping people settle and stuff. So for some reason, it's sort of flown under his radar. And he's like very impressed by it. And he's very like inspired by it. So Minh quits doing social work and he goes to get his manicurist license. And then he goes to work. Yeah, he does.
Minh.
But crucially, Minh does something that no one else in the Vietnamese community had done yet. And he and Kien go and open up their own beauty school, now called Advanced Beauty College, or ABC for short, that focused on nails only and crucially taught classes in Vietnamese.
Oh, okay. Great.
So, and this dude, he's like, he knows how the social work aspect of like people coming in. And then he's also like, okay, cool. He figures out a way to kind of bridge this gap.
He was the perfect link. Yeah.
Yeah. So they say that like, I think he says this in an interview that I watched where they're like, you know, Tippy is known as the godmother of the, you know, Vietnamese nail industry in America. And he's like, I'm the godfather.
I love it. The godfather of the nail industry.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to see that movie.
So there's a documentary about this that I was going to say, I was going to give it a proper shout out at the end, but there is a doc about this that I'll include in the show notes. But Minh also goes on to lobby Congress to offer certification tests to be taken in Vietnamese specifically as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then from here, the next thing you know, it's just like, it's over. Like the industry just explodes.
Yep.
You know, they're open up shops everywhere. There's so many of them that they're all lowering prices because they're getting super duper competitive with each other.
Oh, man.
To compete, you know, and the next thing you know, it's just all this crazy irony starts happening where like Mantrap starts to suffer, as does Dusty Coots Patera, because all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, like this industry's
They're
gotten
getting
so
edged
dominated and like
out.
so competitive that they got edged out and they weren't able to they didn't have the corner on the market anymore. But
Right.
anyways, this tab is not going to be about like the entire history of the nail
Yeah.
industry like forever, but I just thought the kind of the point of this that I really liked was that the roots of the way that this picked up being in America is really interesting because particularly now at a time where we read about like how America's terrible and like not supportive and business is awful. I feel like this is a very uniquely, specifically American story about how immigrant communities and minority communities that exist in this country it can work in tandem. And also, like you said, like privilege can be used in a way that doesn't have to be about focusing it on what you did for people or whatever. It could, there's like these harmonies that can all line up.
I'm sure she wasn't going around saying, look what I've done. She was literally just opening doors for people, being like, oh, I have a key to this door. Perfect. Let's go.
And also it's seen as like a stereotypically, female oriented or like women oriented business. I mean, in this case, it was like a female dominated business, but I think, just a little bit of my soapbox here. It's like, I feel like part of that is the reason why people don't take it seriously.
Oh, 100%.
And it's like, and I listen to some of these other, business podcasts sometimes or whatever, where people sort of breaks up stuff down and they're totally happy to like lick founders up and down that are like Silicon Valley doing shit. And I'm like, this actually, to me, it falls into a lot of the same, it qualifies in the same way in terms of like, here's this person who had this idea. Here's how this, I'm not smart. And I didn't go to Stanford. I can't give you like a proper business breakdown of it, but I know enough about it to know that like, this is a case study that should be studied and should be talked about in a way that I think is like, people are asleep on this. And I think it sort of incorporates a lot of elements. And I think the reason why people might not even take it as seriously is because, Tippi Hedren didn't take a cut of this entire industry that existed as a result of...
There was no white
do you know what I'm saying?
They
like,
could worship.
Right. There's no messianic figure.
No. Like they would, I mean, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for, honestly, I don't know what else she's done and if she's problematic, but in this case, I really think she did it right. And this is the right way to actually like lift people up.
Yeah.
And I think you're right about if, women's work is seen as less, and this is considered women's work. Yeah. And we're getting less and less of that now. Like, I've had a guy do my nails before, and just obviously just as good, but like, you get the double of like, this is women's work and this is immigrant work.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
What like white Americans or like wealthy Americans sort those into like the lesser categories, and but they also, a lot of American men expect women to take care of their beauty and make sure they look great all the time. But then they are really demeaning of the jobs that are required to make women beautiful or whatever. So it's this bizarre like standard, and like I don't know, I don't get it, honestly.
Also, in terms of women dominating the industry, there's a lot of Vietnamese men that run these salons or work in these salons, and there was one story. I want to say it was the kids. It was the son of the guy of Min. I think it's Min's son. I might be wrong. I feel like it was his son. And they were like, "Oh, you can go become a doctor now that we made money." And he was a doctor. And he was like, "I don't want to do this. I want to join the family business." Yes. And they were like heartbroken. Also, but then they were like, "Okay," and then he's like real good at it. And it's like, but anyway, it's a whole thing.
Well, it's like, so I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I just think that our society, American society, ever since like the 50s and the whole like nuclear family, the craze of like kind of decentralizing community into one tiny nuclear family has really made us forget about how things actually used to be and how things have been for like thousands and thousands of years. It's like the family business was how it was. Like you were born, your dad was a blacksmith, or your uncle was a blacksmith, you'd go get a certificate in that and you'd become a blacksmith. Like, not that you don't have to be trapped, quote unquote, doing that, but that is how family structures had existed up until like the last 100 years. And we've totally forgotten. And so these immigrants who come with that culture still, we're all like, what? We look at it like it's less than, when it's really like, these people are happier. Yeah. Like, I come from a very large family, community-based society, and I can speak toward like, no, help each other out. You can't just sit on your own in one house. Yeah. Like, this is how we are supposed to live, and immigrant communities are still holding on to that. I would really like that. And I think it's
Yeah.
literally the only thing that keeps us human.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So shout
I
out
hate
to
the nuclear family. I don't think it works.
Shout out to Olivet as well, like I said.
Yes,
who
Olivet,
is basically
dude.
like, let's start a shop with Charlie and getting Man Trap and, you know, the cultural element of it that ends up exploding as a result of it. So the last thing I'll say, this is really fun, is that if you go to, I'll send you the link. This is the Vietnamese, which one, what is the museum? The Heritage Museum.
Oh, cool. I want to go here.
There's like this page that's called, that's about like Tippi Hedren being the godmother of it.
Oh, look at her. Look at Tippi. Wow. That's the face of someone who's been mauled by a lion and an elephant.
The other thing too, so the documentary that I found, it's called Nailed It.
Of course. That's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And it's directed, what was her name? Adele Pham. She's the one where I got a lot of this information from.
Okay.
And it's on like Tubi. I'll include the link. It's free. You can watch it with ads.
Okay.
But if you get a chance, go watch it. It's only like an hour. And she also stages like a reunion of some of the ladies from the first class with Tippi. And of course, everyone's like crying and emotional. And they're like, oh my God, she's the only person who like, cared about us like that. It's very sweet. And then so she interviews all these different people within the community. It was really cool. It's a very like, it feels like a very personal documentary rather than just like a, nothing. Obviously I love Ken Burns, but it's not like a Ken Burns like objective one. It's very like,
right.
Her voice is very prominent in it in terms of like her trying to like make sense of her identity and like her relationship with her dad in terms of being a Vietnamese immigrant and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, it's worth a watch. You should go check it out.
I will.
But that's my tab. I thought it was pretty cool.
Lovely story. I love that.
Yeah.
I've always wondered why most of the nail technicians are Vietnamese in California, and I guess all over the United States. That was something I was like, oh yeah, why? And now I know.
I read some stats somewhere. I don't remember what the number was, but it's something like it wasn't just here in the States, but it was also like some percentage of the economy in Vietnam is because people would come here and work. And then they would send money back home. It's not like a big percentage, but it's a notable percentage at one point where it was like a couple of percent. It was just money being sent back home from people who were like open up shops here in the States. Just like it's again, you can't fathom how big this actually is,
right?
And I think that's maybe part of why people are sort of maybe it's not on the radar. I don't know, but
or it's just so universal and everywhere that no one thinks about it.
Think of how many ladies went and got their nails done who, went on to go on a date. Maybe they trapped a man.
That was what? They trapped a man.
That's my tab. Thank you for listening. I'm glad you liked it. I thought it would be something you would enjoy.
Yeah. It was very uplifting in a way that Roland the Farter was not. So I appreciate that you brought this.
And of course, I was texting Joe before this and he was just like, Tippi.
Yeah. Joe is Vietnamese.
He was all excited. Yeah, right. Joe, our friend who helps put on the show. And I just was like, oh, I want to make sure I don't sound like an idiot. And he was just like, oh, yes. And then he
Tippi's our girl.
Yeah.
I do wonder like what other immigrant community, if there is anything comparable like this in other communities or is this just very like a very time and place, like the fall of Saigon.
In terms of them coming to dominate like a specific industry,
one industry. Yeah. I wonder if I can't think of anything else like that. But then again,
I think there's a bunch, but I think it's just a more matter of like this one just has this weirdly clear narrative,
right?
That
it's
a lot of other ones
distinct.
don't. Like to say that like here's this class of 20 women who went to this school who just like from there just goes. Psh, I think that's kind of rare. I don't think.
And now there's like accounts on the internet that are just like nail centric, and it's like this huge industry. Yeah. That's really inspiring, and it really does feel like the last true American tale. Before
again, we gave Tippi a lot of credit, but also like I think from watching this doc, like Olivet deserves a lot of credit as well in terms of popularizing it and making it as a thing separate from just getting it done like fancy, but also getting it as a form of self-expression. And then the way that the Black communities embraced it and sort of ran with it and like
absolutely
sort of brought them in and we're like, cool, you're part of the family now, and we're gonna let you sort of run wild and do whatever. It's like the snakeskin part was hilarious. She was like in the doc, they're talking about it. They're showing where she's like cutting out like little pieces of snakeskin to like put on the nails. So they're just going, they were like, whatever. Put
anything on there.
Yeah. They're like cool, like trying to one up each other in like a fun way of like, what's the kind of craziest shit we can do.
it's really gotten into like even today, obviously, like Black women and Latina women, there's a huge nail culture of like 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 the big ones, or like how far can we push it? And this is all because there's two women.
The last thing I should say too is because of the influx of the Vietnamese coming in and like really taking a hold of this industry, they're also, because of the competition, is why they're able to bring the cost of it down so much too, because it used to be something that was so expensive, and because it became
anyone can do it.
Now it's like, now you can go get your nails done for like whatever, $20,
$30. Yeah.
$30. And it just, it makes something that is, what used to be, I don't know, it's not gatekeeping, but like it used to be something that was way more expensive is now available to everybody. And if you can afford $30, obviously it's not, everybody can, but way more affordable.
Something like that $30 is like a treat yourself kind of thing,
exactly.
That is before, like, there was a gatekeeping aspect. It's like only this was a status symbol, and those who can't access it. And then here's the thing though, once it was like not a status symbol anymore, that's when white people were like, this is trashy.
Oh yeah, there's all this
classic.
I started to read about it, and then I was like, I'm not going to get into the whole like bummer part of it and the racist part of it, and I think it sort of coincided with like the Chinese food. Everyone was like, oh, MSG isn't everything, and that's bad. And then it was like, oh, is your nail salon like filthy? And are you going to get like, I don't know, AIDS or something from going, like there's all the like fear-mongery stuff.
And the whole like hippie, like the play pretending is poor, as like white people like to do, go backpacking and be all natural or whatever. It's not all play pretending is poor, but there's a little aspect of it. Anyway,
that's my tab. I think we're at the part of the episode where, even though I did something a little bit more sincere and hopeful, we unfortunately have to close our tabs with farts today. But
dude, that's
the
so
rules.
Deeply sorry.
No, I'm not.
Is it
that's
the rules?
Them's the rules.
That's our podcast, I guess. Okay.
I mean, I guess we could file them down the way you would file nails, but that doesn't. I feel like our listeners would be mad at us. I don't know. We'll let Alyssa decide.
We'll do some farts. Okay, just do one, Alyssa. Okay. Just do one big long one. Man, I'm tired, bro. We'll see.
All right.
You know what? This really quick. This really does encapsulate the spirit of this show. These two tabs. Like, we can be very sincere and we can be very stupid. So, okay. You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Fart.
All right. You are up first.
I'm up. Let me see. Okay, so this comes in from Evelyn from Illinois. And Evelyn, they say, hello, Kaveh and Hannah, longtime listener, first-time writer. I've listened since the very first episode of Musical Splaining.
Oh,
and
wow.
then followed Kaveh here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I incessantly recommended this to most of my friends. Thank you. And it has given me way, seriously, it has given me way more ammo as a sharer of odd facts. It's our job. My tab today is rather simple. A tab about my hometown, DeKalb, Illinois. We pronounce the L in DeKalb. Okay. It's your average, mostly rural, almost suburb of Chicago, with two notable exceptions. First, we have corn branded after us, leading to a really fun town logo. And second, barbed wire was patented here, leading to a very long legacy within the town. My high school mascot is the Barbie Crow. I thought it was real for an embarrassingly long time, and every pep rally we would chant, "There's only one Barb." I don't even know what that means.
Justice for Barb, dude. She's trapped in the Upside Down.
Seriously. Get her out of there. Some quick fire facts. Hometown of supermodel Cindy Crawford. Location of Northern Illinois University, of which a notable alum is Dan Castellaneta of The Simpsons.
Oh, Homer Simpson himself.
Has one of the last Egyptian theaters in the U.S., a craze that could probably be a tab of its own. A bunch were built during the 20th century due to a popularity of archaeological discoveries in the region.
Yep.
Evelyn, they link some articles, and those were some little facts about her hometown, which also I love that. It's like, it doesn't have to be one tab. You can just give us some cool facts.
Fun facts. If you're ever in the DeKalb area, you can pop in and then you'll be like, hey, I know what's going on.
Where's the barbed wire? I came here for the barbed wire. Give it to me. Okay.
All right. Email number 2 is from Elizabeth from Northern Virginia. Hello, Hannah and Kaveh. You all need to know about something that the local urban planner has managed to get approved. I present to you the Penis Park.
Oh, we've gotten the penis owl. We've gotten the penis statue. The penis
park. Now you have the Penis Park, of which there is a
photo,
an image. I'm going to have to send to you as well. I present to you the penis park. This is a real park in Ashburn, Virginia called Legacy Park.
A penis. And it's...
There's
It's creaming.
It's creaming. There's a naturally occurring lake in the balls. The penis is ejaculating, and there's a small fountain at the tip of the, quote, ejaculation. Here's an article detailing more, but ultimately no one has yet been able to explain how this got approved by the city planning department. Keep it Josie, Elizabeth. Listen, I tried reading the article, and it doesn't matter compared to the image. The image is just, that's all you need to know.
The image, you guys, there's no way this was a mistake. There's no way. Someone designed this to look like exactly like a penis.
Yeah, or somebody who's never seen a penis ever in their entire lives and didn't clock it.
Oh, interesting. Who would that?
I don't know. It's very much a penis, though.
Yeah, very much so.
The streets even look like the veins.
The streets.
It's so veiny. Dear God.
Legacy Park. Wow, that's incredible.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I'm just still staring at this.
Yeah, if you too have, while Santa looks at the dick park, if you guys also have an email that you'd like to send us, please do so to 500opentabs@gmail.com. That's 500. Send us a link. Let us know a little bit of a blurb about what you learned. And of course, let us know where you're from, because that's always fun.
Yeah.
And of course, we take voice memos if you're interested, around 90,
we do.
like minute and a half, 2 minutes tops, if you're able to do it. But no pressure. If not, we will cut if we have to.
Yeah, we will. We'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
And if you want to buy our books, we're artists, for those who don't know.
Right.
We both are cartoonists, and we both have books. So go follow some links to our bios, like at Hannah Hillam, at Instagram and everything.
Yeah, I'm at Permafriends on Instagram and Covetarian on Blue Sky.
And we are at 500 Open Tabs. So,
of course, subscribe to the Patreon if you're able to. Subscribe to the YouTube. Much like our, couple of emails. If you know somebody that you think might like this, please send it to them. If you know anybody that might like farting, go ahead and send this to them. Or if you know somebody who loves getting their nails done, or is a fan of Vietnamese struggles in America, or Tippi Hedren. I don't know. I'm trying to think of every single thing that we've covered over this episode, but pick one of the topics or one of the instances.
Friend? I don't know.
Send it to your Vietnamese friend, and they'll be like, that guy screwed the entire thing up. He didn't actually know what he was doing.
We hate Tippi Hedren. No, just kidding.
Yeah. No, but please share this episode or any other episodes that you enjoy with your friends.
Please
That's
do.
how we're going to help
please
grow.
like and rate. That does wonders, I think, on Apple.
On all of them.
Just do all this. Support us, please.
Help us. Support us.
I'm not very eloquent.
You're a little bit tired today. It's okay. Of course, as always, thank you to Alyssa. Of course, thank you to Joe.
Yes,
and
Joe. Thank you.
Until next time, Hannah, I will see you at the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet.
I will meet you there, and we will fart into it together. Oh.
Perfect ending. I'm going to cut.
Great.